All right, readers, after reading The Librarian of Basra, I hope you had a chance to do some good thinking. Hopefully, you have already looked at and noticed where the parts of the exposition, conflict, setting, and all that good stuff that I put on there. Now let's focus on conflict, okay? There are 4 big questions I've asked you in yellow right here on this slide about conflict. 1, what is the conflict for Aaliyah in this story? So let's go over that right now. In this story, what is her conflict? Is it character versus herself? Does she have a self problem of a dilemma? And does she have a conflict of doubt, like self-confidence? I would argue that she probably has a dilemma. Although it's not fully explained in here, stories can have multiple conflicts, okay? So she probably has a dilemma. Should I go against the governor, or should I do my own thing and do what's right for my country and for the books? So I would say she definitely has a self dilemma. And on page 4 of the book, on this page where she asked the governor if he could help her out, and he says no, he refuses. And then on the next page, it says Aaliyah takes matters into her own hands. Now, in this book, it doesn't show in words exactly that she has a self dilemma, but I bet you if they wrote a few more pages, they would. So if you said it doesn't really show the self conflict, I'd give you credit because they didn't elaborate on it. But the one that they really showed for sure was character versus society. So in society, what was she going against? She was going against the ruler at the time, the governor, right? So when you go against that, you're going against society. Okay, so she's going against a rule or a tradition or a law or something like that. So if you said society, good job. You got that one right. This is definitely a society problem. I would say that I definitely think every book has a character versus self. Some show it a lot more than others. I would imagine this one also has character versus self because there's no way that you can go against a governor without feeling like, ooh, there's some kind of bad choice here. All right, number 2, where does it show us the conflict? It kind of shows us the conflict right in the exposition. I'm only on page 4. So the conflict is shown definitely here for the reader. But then the conflict, it keeps, growing because when they invade her house, there's some conflict against society. When those soldiers are like, hey, what are you doing here? That's character versus society. So the character versus society keeps showing up for us, right? Question 3 says, how does Aaliyah handle or react to the conflict? This is really important to notice. Now, does Aaliyah back down? She doesn't. She just keeps going in secretive ways. She even recruits other people to help her. So how does she handle the conflict? Well, she bands people together and she brings them together to fight against that society problem. That's important to notice how a character handles their conflict because that will show you a lot about the lesson the character is learning and you, the reader, and it might even show you how the character is changing. In some books, the character at the beginning might handle it differently than at the end, and then we have character change. Last question, what is the conflict teaching the reader? It kind of shows us a theme. Well, the lesson that I think that you should be learning from this is probably that, you know what? Sometimes when things are hard, you have to make a hard choice anyway for the good of everyone else. So a couple of lessons, being brave is very important in hard times. And sometimes you have to resist and make good trouble. And that's what Aaliyah did here. Okay. All right. I hope you did a lot of good thinking today and this really helped you.